And we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our special story time with author Deanna Kizis and illustrator Sam Boughton. Today, they will be presenting their book, Please Don't Read This Book. There will be an audience Q&A for this event. So if you have any questions for Sam or Deanna, please use the Ask a Question button at the bottom of the screen. You can also vote for any questions you find interesting, and they'll make their way to the very top of the page. Also, if you're considering supporting our bookstore today by purchasing a copy of Please Don't Read This Book, just click on the green purchase button directly below the viewer screen. It will take you to our website where you can complete your purchase. And Vroman's is 126 years old. We're the oldest and largest independent bookstore in Southern California. And it's thanks to avid readers like yourselves that keep our business running. So we appreciate any support that you can provide at this time. And with that said, let me introduce our guests, and then we can go right into the reading. So Deanna Kizis is a journalist, author, and screenwriter. She was the West Coast editor of Elle magazine and a contributor at Harper's Bazaar. And her byline has appeared on Vanity Fair, People, Glamour, Entertainment Weekly, and many more. She's also written screenplays for ABC, MTV, Sony, and Paramount. And Please Don't Read This Book is her debut children's book. So congratulations to Deanna. And we also have Sam Boughton, who is an award-winning British artist and illustrator. She is the illustrator of Hello Dinosaurs and The Extraordinary Gardener. So with that said, I'm going to bring up the book for today. So give me a moment to get that all set up. Okay, there we go.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Just making sure. Yay. All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming. I'm so excited you're here and to read this book, and let's see what it says. All right. Please Don't Read This Book, written by Deanna Kizis, that's me, and Sam Boughton, who's right there, the illustrator, and who did a fabulous job, by the way. All right. I'm catching up. Hold on. Oh, hi. I see you've opened this book.
Deanna, your mic's gone on mute.
We lost Deanna for a moment, so let me bring her back on screen. Sorry, folks.
It looks
she's accepted and connecting. Hello, Deanna. Yes, we can hear you now. All right.
Siri does this weird thing where she turns on and starts talking to me. It's unhelpful. And now I really am going to read this book. Oh, hi. I see you've opened this book, but are you really going to read it, even though it says please don't on the cover? Then I should warn you that there are rules in this book. And the rules are, if this book says do not do something, you definitely, positively cannot do it. So please don't do any of the cool or awesome things this book tells you not to do, because then you'll have way too much fun. And kids don't like to have fun, right? Right. The first thing you cannot do is do not make fart noises. Do not go or just do not do it. Hey, did you just make fart noises? Fart noises are the worst. Okay, you really need to follow the rules of this book, or you're going to have more fun, and that would be terrible. So whatever you do, do not make the weirdest, silliest, most redonkadonk face you possibly can. Did you just make the weirdest, silliest, most redonkadonk face you possibly could? I think you might be confused about the rules in this book. As I said, this rules has book. No, wait, I mean, this book has rules, and you're supposed to have fun. No, you're not supposed to have fun. Yeah, that's it. So whatever you do not tap your head and rub your belly at the same time. Nobody can do that anyway. Hold the phone. Did you just tap your head and rub your belly at the same time? This is unbelievable. Now that you've tapped your head and rubbed your belly at the same time, are you thinking that you should hug yourself and yell, "I'm the best"? Well, stop right there, you master of misery. You absolutely cannot hug yourself and yell, "I'm the best." Wow, you did it. The book said not to do something, but you did it again. So this time, do not turn to whoever else is in the room and say, "You're awesome too." So are you. Ah! Why does this keep happening? I really can't take any more fun. I just can't. Which is why I'm going to make a very important request. Please, oh, please do not ask to read this book again. You don't want to do that, do you? No! Go play! Go to color! Go to bed! Just do something else! But whatever you do, please don't read this book.
Yay!
I hope you guys like that. And I hope nobody broke any rules.
I think it's definitely. Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh yeah, so everyone must can. Yeah, great reading, Deanna. I think it's definitely a big shout aloud book, isn't it?
Yes. I know. I hope I didn't break everybody's ears.
Yeah, I think if you were sat and you were reading and you were with all your classroom, I just think everybody would need to shout out as loud as they possibly can.
Yeah, I know.
And make the teachers' ears hurt.
Mm-hmm. That was my plan. I like to torment the teachers at Keaton School. Just kidding. No, they're excited. I'm going to do some readings for schools too. It'll be online, but I still think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So yeah. So this is our illustrator, Sam, and she is so amazing and did such a cool job on this book. And quickly, there are some activity sheets in the chat there that you guys can download for your kids. We'll post them again at the end, so you don't have to, scroll away. And Sam is going to do I saw it, a fantastic presentation about how you created the character for Please Don't Read This Book and some of the challenges that you encountered when you got the text.
Yeah, definitely. So shall I start? Shall I scare
I think you should, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I'll talk to you a little bit about what it was like to illustrate Deanna's text and how I developed the character. And I think when you see the end of the presentation, it will be really great if you can use the activity sheets and try and do a similar thing that I did, and give him some expressions. So I'm going to share my screen with you all, and I'll talk you through these different pages I've prepared. Okay, can you all see that? Yeah? Okay, brilliant. Can you hear me as well?
I can hear you.
Okay, that's fine. I don't want to go too far and people can't hear me. So, okay, so when I got Deanna's text, so I got the story sent to me and I read through it, and straight away I could see it was something really different for me to illustrate. I'm used to illustrating quite big scenes with lots and lots of different characters and lots of people, and this was just one character, and the hardest thing for me as an illustrator was that this character wasn't a human, and it wasn't an animal. So I'd never illustrated anything like that before. So really, that was my biggest challenge when I started. And the other thing was that this one character had so many different expressions, and they acted quite crazy and quite funny, and so I had to understand how to make this character not an animal or not a human, but also have lots of different expressions. So these were my two big challenges, as you can see in the story, in the final book. The characters running around and going crazy on the pages. So one of the very first sketches I did was this page. And when you're an illustrator, your first ideas, you need to develop them a lot. So you'll have, in the very beginning, you'll have quick sketches, and you need to be prepared to keep working and working until your ideas get better and better. But, you know, I had this idea that it was a shape. Our character was a shape, and I wasn't sure if it was a boy or a girl, or, you know, at this stage. And I knew I'd have to make the face or the shape move and have lots of different things happen with its face. So I would look in the mirror and pull faces and then copy the different expressions that I could see in the mirror. And I also had this idea that the text could kind of come all the way around the character and interact with the character as well. And this was one of my first pages I kind of sketched out. And you can see it's kind of a blobby shape with long legs and really long arms. And I really liked this feeling that the character could be all wobbly, because I loved that spread. Do not tap your head and rub your belly at the same time. I thought that was a really fun one. So when I put this character into colour, it didn't quite look like what I hoped, and it looked a bit like, in England we have a dessert and it's called blancmange, and it's pink and it's all blobby, and it looked a little bit like this dessert, and we weren't sure that this was the right kind of character, and it was quite complicated as well to do the eyes and the mouth. So I went back and started again to draw again, and that's what you do when you're an illustrator. You go one step forward and then you have to work again and draw again, and you go back to the drawing board, so they say. And so I went back to this idea that our character could be more of a simple shape, so a circle or a square or an oval or something like that, with really big eyes. And I don't know if you can see, but I had to decide what bits of the face I needed and what bits of the face I didn't need to be able to make it have the expression that I wanted. And I realized that I didn't really need to give our character ears, and I didn't really need to give it a nose. When it didn't have a nose, it looked really cute. And then when I put a nose on it, it looked a bit older. And we wanted our character to look quite small and young. And so taking away the nose and taking away the ears really helped. But I realized I needed to have some eyebrows, because the eyebrows were really good at making the character look angry or thoughtful or crazy. So in the end, it was just the eyebrows, the eyes, and the mouth for the face. And just with those three things, I realized I could make all of the different emotions if I moved them around enough. So very exaggerated features. And because he was so simple, the character was so simple, it's that hands became really important, and the way that the body moved became really important. So I just had a circle with the eyes and the mouth, and then I could stretch the circle. I had an idea that I could stretch it, make it really long, and change the shape depending on how our character felt. So if he was really angry, the hands became really big, or he kind of went in at the middle, or he slumped down. So now I was looking at posture and how you move, what you when you feel different things like tired or happy or excited. So all of these things were part of my job when I was reading the text. But the eyes, especially, the eyes were the big thing that I think if the eyes showed the emotion, then normally the character, you would look at it and you would feel the same emotion. So when I felt like I had all my sketches and my drawings and we knew what he was going to look like, I started to move into colour. And I really like to use inks for my children's books because they're really bright and colourful, and you can do lots with them. You can make them very watery and you can splatter them, and they're really good fun to mix colours with. So this idea of our shape moving and changing shape, I thought, what about it being an ink splat? But maybe just a big one splat of paint. Maybe that could be a good idea. And I experimented with a few different shapes, but they looked a bit wild and a bit too crazy. So I put all my eyes on and my hands and my feet, and to see what this ink splat would look like with some of the words. And I liked it, but it was the colours that I needed to start to tweak and get right, really, at this stage. And so when you think of colour, there's so many colours, and it's getting the right one, because he's so simple. It was which colour would be the best. So I started to play around with lots of different ideas. And this first idea was red with some crazy lines going around, so to give him some crazy energy. But I think there was too many things going on in this kind of experiment. So you always need to be moving forward and thinking as an illustrator and trying lots of new things. And I'm only showing you some of the things. There was hundreds of pages. So I think red didn't quite work. It was a bit angry looking. So I tried to see what green would look like, whether green could be a bit better, and a green maybe with a bit of red and still the same crazy lines. But I think the lines around the character were getting a bit distracting. They were making you look at the lines and not really the face. So they were getting a bit confused with the lines for the arms and the hands and the eyebrows. Like this one. He's a bit messy, I think. His body looks a bit of a mess, and there's too many lines. Although he's got the expression, and you can see he's looking a bit cute or a bit frazzled or a bit shy, there was still something that wasn't quite working. So I got rid of all the lines completely and went back to just the ink being mixed together. And I think at this stage I realized that the nicest was the green and maybe with a bit of blue that had come together. And if you see the top one in the middle, he's very blue, but I changed it with my computer to make him a little bit greener. That's the shape that became Blot's final shape. So it was like, that was the one that I felt like was a really lovely shape. It was quite round and quite cute looking. And so I got all the arms and the eyes and the legs, and I started to draw them onto pieces of paper, showing all the different movements, and eyebrows and the different mouths for the different expressions, because I looked back at all my different drawings from before. And then when I thought I had enough, I scanned them all into my computer and then put them together like a jigsaw. So I put the ink splat, the hands, the eyes, the mouth, the eyebrows, and finally the feet, and started to move him around. And that was when he kind of became Blot, really. He arrived. That was him. And when I showed Deanna and everybody at the publishers, they really loved this character, and they thought, yeah, this is our character. He's really cute. He's friendly. And it will be fun to watch him lose it, because you will not do what he's telling you, what the book is telling you not to do. So yeah, so that we ended with our final character, which you can see down in the bottom there. And then he got put into the book. He came into the book. So yeah, that's kind of the journey of our character that we've kind of ended up calling Blot, which I think is really, really sweet, because he is an ink blot. And yeah, there's so many processes that go on, and this, what I've shown you, took months and months really of working. So it takes a long time and a lot of trials and development, but yeah, it's all kind of worth it in the end, and that's what you do for your job. So I'll stop sharing my screen. There you go. Are we all back?
Yeah, I love seeing that process so much. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, who's that? It's so cool. Yeah, I hadn't even seen all of that.
Yeah.
You know, I had seen a few here and there that the publisher would send me, and then when I got to see all the process that you did, I was just so amazed and at how many different lines you tried, and just to see it. I remember when the publisher sent me like, what do you think of this? And it was the same one that you loved, and he just leapt off the page to me that this was the character, because we don't actually get to meet while we're making the book, which is so funny. Yeah, so she is really working off, Sam was really working off the text for the book, what I wrote, which I do think gives you a lot of freedom. Like if the author was breathing down your neck saying like, no, like this, no, like that. I'm such a big believer in the creative process. And I love how also you just tried and kept trying and kept trying. And I think about some of the kids that I know who maybe get frustrated at a certain point in their drawings. And you really show me, and I think hopefully maybe some of these other kids, that you can make mistakes, you can keep going, you can try again, that it isn't perfect the first time.
Oh yeah, definitely. With every illustrator, when their artwork comes out into the world, normally you see their like beautiful finished artwork in books. But if you were to ask any illustrator, you look behind that book, in their studios or in their workplace, and there is about a pile of artwork like this of mistakes and tries, because you do a character this way, and then there's a million ways to do a character, and you have to kind of, you only know what's right by doing all the wrong things. So you go, oh, I'll try that. No, that doesn't work. I'll try this. No, that doesn't work. I'll try this. And you have to have quite a lot of patience and perseverance to keep trying and keep trying. And then each time something doesn't work, it's kind of like, you know what you don't want. And then you get closer and closer and closer to what works. And then finally, one day, it will be the right thing. And all the hard work gets you to that place. So yeah, it's just, you've got to be prepared to do that, really.
So cool.
Yeah, it's good.
So
Yeah, but
cool.
the same with writing. You must have like a seed of an idea and then begin, and then it develops and changes as you go along, and you cross out a lot of things that you realize aren't that important, and it's probably a similar process, creative process.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we're doing Q&As. So the questions I see in the question and answer box, if you can see that, Sam, it says ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, so first of all, just to get back to really your question, Sam, yes, you would think because a children's book is short, that it's easy to write. I think that first of all, right now I'm working on new ideas, and I go through idea after idea after idea until I feel like it's the right idea. Because they're so short, I think they really depend on how wonderful or original or interesting or inspiring the actual idea that you pick is. And then once I start writing the book, I mean, seriously, I don't even know how many drafts before I even send it to the publisher. And then the publisher has ideas. My editor had ideas that were great. One idea that she had was to have Blatt tell the kids more than once, like, oh, I see you're still breaking the rules. And I thought that was really smart, so that you never lose yourself in just the actions, and remember like what the fun of the book is, if that makes sense. Okay, so I see a question. Can you talk more about your experience in transitioning from writing articles and screenplays to writing your debut picture book? Yeah, definitely. So I think that as an editor and a journalist, and as a screenwriter, one of the things that's so important is voice. I think that anybody who is an aspiring writer, you want to develop a voice that really is you, that feels authentic to you and who you are. And at least that's what it was like for me. So even when I was writing an article, it was always in my voice. It was an article about somebody who was somebody else, then I would write it as though you were there, which somehow is still through the writer's point of view. And then with screenplays, I kind of wanted to do the same thing. I want the characters to have a really specific voice. Like if Blot is saying something, it's Blot. It's really fun for me to write as Blot. And I've been doing a lot of that on Instagram. I'm going to do more because it's so fun. I love writing that character. So with screenplays, your characters have a voice. In articles, the writer has a voice. We're trying to capture someone else's voice. And then in picture books, you want your character to have a voice. And in terms of transitioning, I just try to be fearless and keep sending my work out to people to read it, and hopefully they will buy it. And I have to just be brave. Like if I'm going from one genre to another, I have to be okay with knowing that not everything is everyone's cup of tea. Maybe some people say no. Sometimes only one person says yes, but I've always told myself that all you need is one person to say yes to your ideas. And then hopefully they get to live on. Another question. How did you get the idea to write this sweet book? I got the idea because I used to play this game with my daughter. She is super funny, and we would, when she was even littler, she's not that little anymore, she's 8. I would play this game with her, which is, you cannot put on your pajamas. Seriously, do not put them on, Keaton. I swear, if you put them on, you have no idea what will happen. And she would just giggle like crazy, and of course put on her pajamas. And then one night she said to me, hey, will you play that game with me where you do the thing where you tell me what not to do? And I was so surprised because we hadn't played that in months. And, you know, if you're a writer, you're always thinking, you try to just keep your mind open to a new idea to kind of sort of appear out of nowhere. And that's when I realized, like, oh my gosh, this might actually be a good idea for a book. Maybe other kids would enjoy playing this game. And then I had to figure out how to make that work in a book form. So that's what I did.
Oh, that's such a good answer.
Oh, well, thank you. This seems like it would be such a great series. Please don't ... Are there any plans for more books like this? I really hope so, Gail. You know, part of that I think is having people tag. It's so crazy how things are today, but tag the book on Instagram, write about the book on Instagram, tell their friends. You know, it's really, I think, word of mouth. You, especially right now, people can't go into a bookstore. So we're living online. So the book has to find a life online. But yes, I have so many ideas for what could be really fun with Blot. From what is it that you kids do? Please don't brush your teeth. Please don't learn to read. Please don't have fun at Christmas. Just all kinds of silly ideas. The only one I don't know if I can ever do is please don't go to bed, because I think it makes kids super excited. So please don't go to bed probably wouldn't be the best. Parents might not like it if I did it as a go to sleep book. What was it like working on this book when you live in 2 different countries? Oh, that's really interesting. Sam, why don't you talk about this first?
Well, I think because lots of things are online and we have these amazing platforms where we can see into each other's lives, and you can share your artwork on the screen as you're kind of meeting. It's quite easy, and people think it's taken away opportunities, but I think it's really opened up opportunities so much more, because you can actually, instead of me emailing a file and then talking about it on the phone, I can actually see Deanna's face, and we can look at, and I can introduce the artwork to you guys all, and you're all at home, and you can look at it in your own time. And it was a bit like that starting this book, because I had like a Zoom meeting with the publishing team and the editor. We just talked about we just brainstormed ideas, like we were all sat at a table, all in the same room, and it was really easy. And I could quickly scratch things down, like, and then hold them up, or just quickly take a picture on my phone and send them. So I think it wasn't too hard. I mean, I have authors in this country that I've illustrated their text, and I haven't met them, and they're in this country. So, you know, I don't really think it matters the distance anymore, which is really lovely. It's really great. You can like work on really exciting things from anywhere, from all over the world. So.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, working with the editor was the same way, since the publishing house Penguin and Philomel is in New York. So we're doing it online together, but I think we've all gotten really used to working that way. And it's kind of like kids are doing school right now on Zoom. Maybe it's not the most fun you've ever had, but you can still get a lot out of it, I think. And you know, so I would work with my editor remotely, talk to my agent remotely, talk to the publishing art team, and then whenever I go to the city where they're in, we have lunch, or we have breakfast, or we have fun. And next time I'm in England, I'm looking Sam up, and we're going to go out to dinner or something and have a good time. Yeah, exactly. It's going to happen, I swear.
Trip to the US at some point.
Please. Please don't read this book is such a fun title. Was it always the title, or was it called something else? It was called something else. It was originally called Whatever You Do, Don't. And I did really like that title. And the publisher really liked Please Don't Read This Book. And I think, I think they were right. I try not to get super worried about whether or not my idea is the best idea. I just want someone to come up with the best idea. And I thought that one really does tell kids and parents and librarians and bookstore people exactly what this book is. I think if I had gone with Whatever You Do, Don't, it would have been a little bit harder to know exactly what the book was about. And I see another question. Do you have any role models who inspired you to pursue writing or illustrating? Oh gosh, Sam, do you want to go first?
Yeah, because I think I was always really keen on drawing and just a generally creative person. But I worked with children for quite a long time, teaching art, and I started to have themes and from children's books that I would bring in to show them techniques, and then I started showing my own techniques and becoming really creative with the kids in my own original way. And from that, I jumped then on into children's illustration. But the heroes that I always was showing were the people that kind of inspired me to get into illustration. So they're British illustrators. They're Brian Wildsmith's one of them. Quite a few from the 60s. Their picture books were some of the first really bright, colourful, abstract picture books, and I really, really like them. And I've got like my own collection at home and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's always really good to know who you like out there, mm-hmm. and where your inspiration comes from.
Yeah, and I, after Keaton was born, I had my own favorite children's books from when I was little. One is called The Big Cleanup, which I think they actually put back in print for at least a little while. And one is called The Christmas Cookie Sprinkle Snitcher, which is about a funny fella who steals all the kids' sprinkles. And then when after Keaton was born and I started reading a lot of children's books to her, I am just so enamored of the form. I absolutely love it. I love how the characters are so individual and they just really speak for themselves. There's an immediacy to it. And in terms of some of the writers that really inspire me for kids' books, I mean, Mo Willems, who I'm assuming everyone here probably has at least one Elephant and Piggy book. I love them. There's a Sam Boughton who I love, who's really, really funny. Those are two writers who I love that they're funny. And there's a simplicity to their work. And then moving forward, if I really want to do a chapter book, I actually love some of the classics like Chronicles of Narnia. We just read Wind in the Willows. It's so sweet. Yeah, we're just diving in Ivy and Bean. So yeah, I can't get enough. So I'm just reading them constantly. And I think they're all inspiring. Okay, I think this is the last question. Are there any rules that you broke that ended up being a fun adventure? Whoa. For me, actually, I think breaking one rule is refusing to just be one kind of writer. A lot of times you're building a career and people say like, oh, well, you're a journalist, you should just be a journalist. Or, oh, you've done screenwriting, just be a screenwriter. And I have not been able to stay in that box. And also, Faye just pointed out the fourth wall. Actually, speaking to the kids is a big rule where, you just see the story on the page as opposed to talking at the children, at the reader from the book is a huge rule. And I love breaking that rule because how else could this book exist? It's not as much fun to see a kid breaking the rules in a fun, helpful way, not breaking the rules in a terrible way. But seeing, you want to be able to do it yourself. So, yeah, what about you, Sam? What rules led to an adventure?
Yeah, well, what rules? Oh, what a question. What rules did
Have
I
you broken any rules that led to a great adventure?
led to a great adventure?
I can think of one.
Go on.
Well, you would, if you can't, you had talked about how you'd never done anything with a white background before, and when you first saw the book, you were like,
Everything about this book, everything was really different for me and really, really challenging in a new way, but an exciting way. And I had to try my hardest not to put more and more and more things on the white page. I wanted to add footsteps. I wanted to add something else, and they were saying, no, you just like leave it, like let him just exist. And that was really difficult for me to, but then, like what you were saying, Deanna, you have to listen to the people that are advising you, because when you make a picture book, it is really, you make it as part of a team. You don't make it on your own. And everybody that has their own role has it because they're really good at that role. So if you get advised, do it a bit more like this, or could you make it a bit more like that? Normally they're doing it from the best perspective for the book. And so I think listening, I had to trust them and not do something totally outside my comfort zone. But now it's probably one of my favorite books. So yeah, so it worked out. Yeah.
Yeah, we all have rules that we think, sometimes even that we put on ourselves, what we can do, what we can't do.
Definitely.
And it's hard to break them.
Yeah, I'm always doing that. I mean, you can see behind me, I'm in my studio, and it's constant rule breaking going on in here all the time. It's like I try one thing, I try something else, and try something else. So yeah.
So cool.
Okay, so that was our last question. So I think that is a good place to wrap up the talk. Thank you to everyone who joined in. This was such like a fun reading, and it was lovely seeing Sam's process.
Yeah.
Again, we have activity sheets available, and you can access that by clicking on the link that has been shared in the chat. Also, if you came in late for the event, don't worry. This talk will be available shortly after the broadcast ends. You can access it by using the same link. And again, if you would like a copy of Please Don't Read This Book, just click on the green purchase button directly below the viewer screen. And I think that is about it. So have a good morning and have a good evening, depending on where you are. I'm just looking at the comment section here.
I think that's so good. I want my students to flip the question. Mom, please don't make me a sundae for breakfast.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Okay.
A lesson in persuasive writing.
Yeah.
I love that idea. I'm making notes. I'm taking notes. You can try this on your parents' kids. Yeah, and you know what? Actually, that would be fun for. So we left the activity sheets really open-ended, so that kids can do with the blot that they make anything they want. And what would be really cool is they could write down messages from blot to their mom or dad. Sorry, moms and dads. But that would be really fun.
Yeah, that would be really fun.
Yeah, well, Lindsay's a teacher, so there you go.
Yeah, let us know, Lindsay. If you have an Instagram or Twitter, yeah, let us know how that goes with your activity. All right, so thank you everyone again, and stay safe, everyone.
So much.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Vroman. Thank you. Bye. Support your independent bookstore.